Okay, so good afternoon, ma'am, and good afternoon, my friends. So today we are going to talk about the concept of liability, and in this time, so in previous we already learned about the consumer cycle by Gea. So next we're going to talk about the consumer non-cyclical PT Astra Agro Lestari. Next. So we're going to talk about the introduction of the concept of liability, and then PES-AK related to liability, and number 3 is the methodology related to liability, number 4 liability analysis, and the last one is ethics related to liability. So in the accounting world, liabilities are all financial obligations that a company must fulfill to another party within a certain period, maybe in a year or more than a year. And then there's two types of liability. First is short-term liabilities, and these are obligations that a company must settle in less than 1 year. And then there's long-term liabilities, and the different from short-term debt, this type of liability has a payment maturity of more than 1 year. And then for the characteristic of liabilities is like has a payment due date and then consequence of past transactions and must be resolved with economic resources. And then for the PES-AK related to liability, so PT Astra Agro Lestari applies the appropriate PES-AK standard in managing its liabilities. And the application of the standard support transparency and compliance with the applicable accounting regulations. So the first one is PES-AK number 1, 2021 and 2022 amendments. So this PES-AK provides rules on the classification of liabilities as short-term or long-term. And then number 2 is PES-AK number 46, 2021 amendments about the income taxes. And this one is prescribes the recognition of deferred taxes related to tax liabilities based on the balance sheet liability method. And then for number 3 is PES-AK number 73, amendment 2022 leases. So this one is prescribed lease liabilities in sale and leaseback transactions, including how companies should measure and recognize lease liabilities. And then for the methodology related to liability, so as a company engaged in the oil palm plantation industry, PT Astra Agro Lestari applies various methods in recording its liabilities to reflect accurate and transparent financial conditions. First is effective interest rate method. So it's used to measure loans by calculating the amortized cost to reflect the actual interest rate over the life of the loan. And then there's a balance sheet liability method used in recording deferred taxes to recognize temporary. And then the third one is method of recognizing lease liabilities. So recognize liability based on the present value of unpaid lease payments and allocating each payment between principal and interest expense. And then this one is about the liability analysis of the PT Astra Agro Lestari. So in the PT Astra Agro Lestari, they record the total liabilities is like 6.28 trillion in 2023, down from 7.01 trillion in 2022. So this one is reflecting better debt management. And then short-term liabilities increased from 2.05 trillion to 3.88 trillion. So likely due to an increase in trade payables, while long-term liabilities decreased from 4.95 trillion to 2.39 trillion. So this one indicating the debt repayment or restructuring. And then the company also manages its lease liabilities with a lower incremental borrowing rate of 7.50 from 7.87 previously. So the employee benefits liability increased from 309.58 billion to 326.29 billion due to changes in actuarial assumptions, while labor tax increased from 209.25 billion to 221.28 billion due to temporary tax differences. And then this is the ethics related liability. So the company applies ethical principles in managing its liabilities by emphasizing transparency and accountability. So the company discloses all its liabilities, including employee benefits, deferred tax, and loans in its audited financial statement by applicable accounting standards. So in addition, payment of liabilities such as cash dividend are only made after obtaining formal approval, reflecting compliance with good governance. And then in terms of employee welfare, the company ensures that employee benefit obligations are calculated fairly using the projected unit credit method, which consider long-term benefit for employees. And the company also manages financial risk responsibility by using derivative instruments as hedges against fluctuation in interest rates and exchange rates without engaging in excessive speculation. Okay, maybe that's all from me. Do you guys have any question?
Okay, thank you, Raja, for your presentations. I want to ask questions, very easy questions here. For you, I think, I believe. It is some conceptual questions for liabilities on Petre Agro Lestaris. I ever wonders why are provisions considered as liabilities on PT Agro Lestari balance sheets, even though the exact amount or timing might be uncertain. I think that's
Rasra, can you please repeat the question because I can hear your voice?
oh yeah, yeah. Okay, it's okay, it's okay. So my question is why are provisions considered as liabilities on PT Agro Lestari balance sheets, even though the exact amount of is and also the timings might be uncertain?
Sama persis kayak gini kalau di meeting pertanyaan.
So your question is like why provision in Pedastra Agrolestari is counted as liabilities. Is it correct, Rastra?
Yes, because as we know that provisions, it is recorded at exact amount of time, exact amounts, and the timings might be uncertain. Provisions, and when we record it.
Okay, so maybe can let me think first, Rastra. So maybe why we count provision as a liability because for the maybe like the amount and the time itu kayak pakai bahasa Indonesia aja ya. Ini bingung soalnya. Mungkin karena belum diketahui dengan pasti kayak jumlah dan waktunya. Karena itu makanya kita menganggap profesi ini sebagai liability bagi perusahaannya. Karena belum pastinya itu sih mungkin untuk sementara kita anggapnya sebagai liability. Tapi mungkin kedepannya bisa aja berubah. Mungkin kayak gitu aja sih.
So before that, do you know what is provisions, Raja? Because maybe I can explain it for you. What is provisions? So
Yes,
maybe
yes,
you
yes.
can have a knowledge for
Yeah.
you to get about the insurance.
Or maybe we can discuss about this provision if you want to, Rastra.
Okay, so actually provisions, when we are trying, when we our companies are having these obligations, so every years, every times, every yeah, so provisions represents the obligations arising from past events that will likely require future economic the approach also. Maybe it's from the obligations. Maybe it can help you to assure it. For examples, yeah. For example, your company have warranty provisions for vehicle sold, environmental restorations, obligations at your manufacturing sites. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, thank you, Rasra. Maybe I agree with you because uh, provision is like we count it a liability in our obligation because it's requiring a future payment, right? And then provision is a type of liability because it represents an obligation that is probable, maybe ya semacam itu, but uncertain in amount or timing. And even though provisions involve uncertainty, and then they still meet like the definition of liabilities because they arise from past transaction that we have made in the past, and then maybe they requires a future of flow of economic benefits, like because we already made the transaction in the past, but we not yet paid for the transaction. So maybe we will require an economic benefit, like maybe we should or we will pay the transaction in this year or maybe next year. And then the company has present obligations that cannot be ignored. So because provision is liability, so we cannot ignore this provision. We have to recognize as a liabilities. Maybe that's about the provision, Rasa. Is it clear enough for you? Or
Yeah, it's
about our
clear
discussion?
enough for our discussions, but maybe we can discuss it again later, or maybe I can ask again now.
Yeah, we can discuss about this later. Maybe at night you can call me if you want to
Oh, okay, I
discuss
can call
about
you
these
later.
provisions.
Professions,
Yeah,
okay, because I quietly interested in these professions,
yeah, it's
especially on your company,
it's a
Agro
very
Story.
interesting topic for us to
Yeah, very
discuss. Okay,
interesting topic.
okay,
Okay,
maybe
okay.
thank you for your question.
Okay, Roger, thank you for your questions. Maybe good luck for your third presentation.
Thank you, Rasra. And so let's move to the next question. Okay, okay, maybe Salman.
Okay, thank you, Raya. I just want to ask a simple question. So we know that in this situation right now, there is many media talks about fraud. So I just want to know, uh, is there uh, is there any base data of the methodology that you just present to us? You say one of the methodology is effective. Nah, so that present of the methodology is just based of your assumption by looking at financial statement, or there is a base data from the company, like maybe from the notes of financial or even the audit report. Are there any base data that can be be a proof if that financial statement presenting is correct?
Okay, thank you, Salman, for your questions. So you asked about the this method, right? Effective interest rate method. You asked about is it there's datanya di laporan keuangannya atau cuman berdasarkan asumsi? Is it correct, Salman?
Yes.
Okay, so for this effective interest rate method, it is they already stated in the annual report for this method, but maybe not implicit, but apa sih? Kalau yang secara nggak langsung tuh apa ya? Pokoknya secara nggak langsung, tapi kayak bakal, pokoknya nggak secara langsung deh, tapi mereka ada menjelaskan tentang effective interest rate method ini, di mana they use this method to measure the loans because they have to calculate and amortize the real cost to reflect the actual interest over the life of the loan. Maybe for the apa ya? Pokoknya perhitungannya kayak tahun ini berapa, terus selanjutnya berapa. Karena kan yang namanya pinjaman itu kan harus kita hitung lagi kan. Gak bisa langsung fix gitu. Jadi ada aja mungkin amortisasi dan lain-lainnya. Mungkin itu sih, Man.
How about the audit reports? Are there mention about that too? Audit report.
Maybe you talk about the audit maybe like the annual report that have been audited. Maybe for the audit, the auditor didn't like talk about this effective interest rate method because when I read the annual report and that have been audited, the auditor only focus about the report about the calculation and then the kepatuhan terhadap peraturannya apakah sudah sesuai atau belum. Jadi mungkin kalau dari sisi auditnya nggak terlalu dibahas.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you Salman for your question. And then next, Thierry.
Okay, thank you, Raja. So, this is kind of logical or critical question from me to you. I want to ask, if a company is unable to pay its short-term or long-term liabilities, what are the consequences for the business, or how it will affect the business or the company? And as an owner, what strategies would you use to prevent this situation? And if the company is already struggling with unpaid liabilities, what action would you take to keep it in business? That's all.
Okay, so for Thierry, can you please simplify the question, like the point?
So the point of my question is, if a company can't pay short-term or long-term liabilities, how would it affect the company? And and another question, if you as an owner, how would you prevent this situation from happening? And if this already happens, what strategy would you do to keep your business going? That's my point of the question.
Okay, so thank you Thierry for the question. So is it like bagaimana cara kita mungkin company-nya kalau gagal bayar utang itu bagaimana kan? Sebelumnya piutang apa utang Thierry?
Liabilities, because we're talking about
Oke, berarti
liabilities, short and
ya,
long,
utang ya.
either.
Sebelumnya izin menggunakan bahasa Indonesia aja karena ini saya pusing. Jadi kalau bagaimana kita gagal membayar utang itu kan sebelumnya untuk kita mengutang kan tentu misalnya contohnya ke bank. Itu kalau misalnya kita ingin meminjam uang atau berutang kepada bank pasti bakalan ada prosedur yang kayak apa ya harus kita jalani. Misalnya mungkin ketika kita meminjam uang itu ngutang ke bank atau apa-apa, pasti akan ada jaminan juga yang kita berikan kepada bank itu. Jadi nggak tiba-tiba kita minjem langsung dikasih, tapi pasti ada yang namanya perjanjian apa yang terjadi jika kita gagal membayar utang nih. Sebentar apa untungnya buat mereka. Nah itu makanya kayak ada perjanjian mungkin kayak penjaminnya lah, entah penjaminnya berupa surat-surat berharga atau berupa apa ya mungkin barang-barang itu. Nah, itu yang bisa menjadi penjamin jika kita gagal membayar utang kita. Mungkin itu buat pertanyaan pertamanya. Terus mungkin bagaimana cara kita mengantisipasi supaya kita nggak gagal membayar utang itu mungkin lebih ke kita sadar diri dulu. Maksudnya tuh kalau kita mau berhutang, tapi kita harus tahu juga kita berhutangnya untuk membangun perusahaan kita atau cuman buat hal-hal kayak apa ya yang nggak jelas yang mana nanti malah jadi beban buat perusahaan kita sendiri. Jadi mungkin cara kita mempreventnya itu dengan udah menyiapkan rencana sebelumnya. Jadi kayak sebelum kita berhutang kita harus tahu nih uangnya akan dikemanain dan akan digunakan untuk apa dan apakah akan menguntungkan buat kita atau enggak gitu. Terus mungkin untuk pertanyaan terakhirnya apa Thierry?
Sebenarnya udah bisa dibilang udah ngejawab pertanyaan terakhirku, tapi ada mungkin konteksnya agak beda dikit kan. Ini aku nanya kalau semisalnya udah terjadi di mana company kamu tuh udah apa nggak bisa bayar liabilities lagi, itu strategi apa yang kau bisa ambil untuk ya bisnis lu tuh tetap jalan gitu.
Oke, ini pertanyaan terakhir susah ya, karena kan aku masih mahasiswa juga, Thierry. Tapi kalau mungkin, kalau ini berarti opini ya, berarti boleh jawab sebagai opini nggak kira-kira? Mungkin kalau aku di posisi itu, gimana caranya buat membayar utang, eh, ini susah sih. Ya bisa dibilang mungkin aku akan bernegosiasi dengan si pemberi pinjaman utang, apakah ada kelonggaran untuk menambah jangka waktunya, misalnya diperpanjang jangka waktunya, misal bayarnya kayak ya setahun lagi, mungkin ada perjanjian dan negosiasi yang bisa aku lakuin. Tapi kalau misalnya nggak bisa pun, ya mungkin eh, tutup lubang gali lubang, gimana ngomongnya? Nggak boleh sih kalau itu sih, kalau menurut aku.
Itu kalau oh berarti pinjam.
Ya mungkin sementara itu dulu sih, Tif. Sementara itu dulu ya. Mungkin aku bisa belajar lagi nanti mengenai itu dan bisa menjawab.
Ya udah, maaf ya.
Oke, next question, Gana.
Sumpah, gue kira pertanyaan itu gampang.
Okay, thank you, Raja, for the time. I just want to ask a questions for you first. Don't you agree with me about discussions? Time is not always about asking a questions, Raja.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, Gana.
Okay, so gini, I'm interesting about the the questions that already delivered by your friends previous time ago, and then I just want to compare. I just want to share about my company cases in PT Garuda Indonesia TBK because my company already survived from paylit debt. Well, paylit debt is just it is the positions where the company has no options or choice to pay that debt. So itu kayak udah benar-benar di titik hampir bangkrut seperti itu. And the things that I already learned based of my company cases, it is how PT Garuda survive, right? So I do my research and my analyze the company. This might be related with the Rastra and then Thierry's questions, how the strategy that might be we as a company want to survive for our liability if the payment maturity already in a deadline. So what PT Garuda use, what the strategy that they did, they do debt to equity swap. So what exactly debt to equity swap? So I just want to give you the statement that at that time, PT Garuda has so many debt at that time. And then they don't have revenue so much because it is a pasca COVID-19. So what they did debt to equity swap, which is they negotiate. So I do agree with Thierry, you can do negotiations because PT Garuda did negotiations with the debt collector. It's about 80% haircut. And also, and it is not just like that. PT Garuda offer issue new shares to the debt collector it is and offer to them and just switch their debt to the capital or shares gitu. Jadi merubah utang dengan tawaran menjadi kepemilikan seperti itu. Dan at that time PT Garuda Indonesia already survive by doing that thing. So I think that's the good idea if you want to survive because at the time PT Garuda have good reputations, right? I mean, in 2018, there is some of scandal of PT Garuda, but I can understand it. But the thing is, PT Garuda is one of the most good operational and services aircraft in Indonesia. So it means that if they issue new shares to the debt collector to offering the debt itself, so it means that it can be a probability to survive for your company gitu. So I think that's what I want to discuss and share to you, Raja. And I think there's one of the questions. Can you move to the previous slide, please? Okay, this one, liability analysis. No, sorry. Next one, this one, okay. Okay, so in this screen, your analysis is state that your long-term liability decrease, right? And then it is indicating debt repayment or restructuring. So what exactly does it mean gitu? Raja, please explain to us.
Oke, thank you Gana. Mungkin izin menjawabnya dengan menggunakan bahasa Indonesia saja. Jadi maksud dari liability saya ini kan menurun ya sekitar 7,01 triliun ini dari sebelumnya. Itu tuh maksudnya kayak udah ada beberapa liabilities yang anggaplah kayak ini sebagai contoh aja. Karena aku baca nol reportnya tuh kayak masih belum full semuanya, tapi kayak masih sekilas-sekilas. Itu mungkin bisa dibilang karena udah ada beberapa liabilities yang bisa dibilang mungkin selama setahun berjalan ini udah terbayarkan atau udah dihapuskan karena kan liabilities itu kan bisa bertambah bisa naik juga ya, dan itu akan mempengaruhi juga ke aset kita. Nah jadi kayak ada beberapa liabilities yang mungkin tergantikan menurun, tapi itu diganti dengan aset kita juga. Mungkin secara simpel sih masih kayak gitu aja sih. Kalau sepemahaman aku secara simpelnya.
Okay, thank you, Raja. And I just want to add more about Gia's questions yang apa yang dari Gia itu. What if our current liability is more higher rather than our non-current liabilities? So actually, we just can more go deeper to the definitions of current liability and non-current liability. If I'm not wrong, current liability is just the difference between the temporary, right? The temporary of the maturity payment itself gitu. So if the current liability is more higher rather than the non-current liability, it means that that company is not liquid ya. Karena if our debt payment with the long maturity, and it means that we couldn't pay it for every continuous of year. So it means that our company in a dangerous situations gitu. Because the long maturity in current liability have to be paid rather than the non-current liability. So I think that's my my apa ya, my opinion about it. So how about you, Raja? Well, if I'm not wrong ya, apa kebalik ya? Well, I think this is our discussion sessions, right? So, yeah.
Okay, thank you Gana. Maybe in my opinion about the current and non-current liability, as you said before, it's kayak sebagai liquid atau enggaknya perusahaan ya. Mungkin kalau misalnya dari pembahasan itu sih, gimana ya cara ngomongnya? Bingung. Coba bentar, bikin kata-kata dulu.
Oh, sorry. Before, the current liability is one short-term payment. So it means, yeah, so it means that if the company doesn't have ability to pay the debt with the short-term maturity of due of date, so it means that the company doesn't have ability to pay that, because that I can say that the debt is the easy one rather than the non-current liability. Because I ever checked this one for the non-current liability, it means that the long-term payment gitu. So how about it, Raja?
Ya mungkin ya ada setujunya dengan Gana kayak kalau Karen itu kan kalau sebelumnya udah dibahas tuh buat yang short term yang mana itu kayak kurang dari setahun pembayarannya, yang mana mungkin kalau bisa dibilang bagi perusahaan itu bakalan lebih mudah dibayarkan karena mungkin karena itu durasinya kurang dari setahun, mungkin jumlahnya juga nggak terlalu banyak dan cara kita buat membayar itu mungkin akan lebih mudah dibandingkan dengan yang non current yang bisa dibilang jangka panjang atau di atas 1 tahun sih. Mungkin itu sih kayak
Oke, oke, thank you Raja. That's it. Have a good day.
ya thank you Gana. Okay, because we don't have enough time, maybe this is the last question from Gek, and please make it fast.
Okay, thank you, Raja. Let me introduce my name is Primadi Nisa, and I want to ask regarding like maybe it's like a comparison between your company and my company. Like I have the non-cyclical company, which is like it affects to the follow the economic trend, and now your presentation is about on cyclical, which is didn't connect or bergantung pada keadaan ekonomi in our country. So for my question is like, is there any difference between the structure or management about these liabilities? Maybe for the financial of the company, is there difference between my my company with yours, and also we are in the same company which is under Astra, and yeah, maybe the methodology, I think, is there any difference between mine and yours? Thank you.
Izin menjawab dengan cepat. Mungkin kalau secara garis besar perbedaannya nggak terlalu jauh karena kita masih di bidang yang sama, cyclical sama non cyclical. Yang mana kalau cyclical kan tadi dibilang itu terpengaruh sama yang namanya ekonomi yang ada terjadi di Indonesia. Jadi jika ekonomi lagi bagus, tentu permintaan akan cyclical juga bakalan naik. Sedangkan non cyclical tuh ketika ekonominya turun pun bakal tetap ada permintaan karena memang dibutuhkan sama masyarakat. Kayak contohnya